You keep talking, thinking more words will save you, while silence quietly steals respect from your voice. Every time you rush to fill an awkward pause, you teach people that your nervous system works for them. They learn that your discomfort can be pulled like a string. Most people never notice this because silence feels empty. It is not empty. It is a mirror. And most people would rather destroy the mirror than watch their own neediness stare back at them. Before this ends, you will understand why silence often wins without saying anything at all. You have felt it. A message sits unanswered. A room goes still. Someone looks at you without explaining what they mean. Your mind starts writing stories that were never spoken. Maybe they are angry. Maybe they are leaving. Maybe you said too much. That spiral is not random. The human brain hates missing information. When language disappears, the mind becomes its own interrogator. It fills the vacuum with fear, memory, and projection. That is why silence can feel louder than an argument that never actually happened. From childhood, you were trained to fear quiet. Teachers praised fast answers. Families demanded instant explanations. Friends confused constant talking with connection. Somewhere along the way, you absorbed the belief that silence means rejection. So you started performing. You explained yourself before anyone asked. You overshared to prove honesty. You rushed to comfort other people before they felt uncomfortable. And without realizing it, you handed away the one thing that creates presence. Restraint. The less control you had over your words, the more your words started controlling you. Manipulative people understand this before everyone else. They know silence is rarely just silence. Used correctly, it becomes pressure. They pause after you speak. They withhold reactions. They let your own anxiety push you into revealing more than you planned. While you scramble to repair a moment that was never broken, they quietly collect information. Your fears. Your motives. Your limits. By the time you notice, you have already negotiated against yourself. And the dangerous part is that many people mistake that control for mysterious charisma. That is why the strongest person in many conversations is not the loudest. It is usually the person who can remain still without needing to be rescued by words. Anyone can speak. Very few people can tolerate silence without betraying themselves. People sense that difference immediately. A calm pause signals that you do not need approval to survive. It signals that you are observing instead of reacting. That single shift changes how others measure you. Because people naturally trust what feels grounded, even when they cannot explain why. But there is a difference between powerful silence and wounded silence. One creates gravity. The other creates distance. Some people go quiet because they are centered. Others go quiet because they are punishing. If you confuse those two, silence can become a weapon that destroys trust instead of building influence. This is where most people fail. They imitate the surface without understanding the source. They stop speaking, but inside they are begging for a reaction. And people can feel hidden desperation even when no words touch the air. You can watch this happen anywhere. On a first date. In a meeting. During an argument. The person who answers every silence immediately usually loses leverage first. They defend points nobody challenged. They reveal intentions nobody questioned. They chase reassurance nobody offered. Meanwhile, the patient person learns everything by doing almost nothing. Silence invites confession from people who cannot tolerate uncertainty. And most people cannot tolerate uncertainty. In a world addicted to instant replies, delayed reactions feel almost supernatural. That is why a measured pause can expose character fast. Silence also reveals your relationship with yourself. When a room becomes quiet, whatever lives inside you gets louder. If you are full of insecurity, silence feels like judgment. If you are full of anger, silence feels like a loaded weapon. If you are full of peace, silence feels like control. That is why two people can experience the same pause and feel completely different things. The silence did not change. The inner state did. And that truth makes silence one of the most honest psychological tests in human behavior. Most people think power means knowing what to say. Real power often means knowing what not to say. Not every accusation deserves a defense. Not every insult deserves a response. Not every misunderstanding deserves your energy. Some people provoke you because they need your reaction to feel important. When you instantly respond, you feed them. When you stay composed, you force them to sit with themselves. That can make people uncomfortable, because silence can expose motives words were hiding. And that discomfort often tells you more than their explanation ever could. The mistake is thinking silence is passivity. It is not. Passive silence avoids truth. Intentional silence controls timing. There is a difference. One comes from fear. The other comes from discipline. Sometimes the strongest response is allowing someone to hear the weight of what they just said. No interruption. No defense. No emotional spill. Just enough quiet for their own words to land back on them. Many people have never faced their own words in real time. Silence makes them face them. And that can completely shift a conversation. The cure is not becoming cold. The cure is becoming deliberate. Stop speaking to relieve tension. Stop explaining to avoid rejection. Stop filling every gap because your nervous system fears stillness. Instead, let the pause breathe. Let people reveal themselves. Let your presence say what panic used to say for you. Because silence is not the absence of communication. Silence is communication stripped of performance. And once you learn how to hold it without fear, people stop hearing only your words. They start feeling your weight. And that changes everything.